Yes, sir. You can start now.
Yes,
Kindly
okay.
start.
Manoj Ahuja ji, welcome to you to this 23rd episode of this national webinar organized from 19 June to 18 July. And in fact, the Government of India has declared June 19th as Day of Reading. As per the practice, the Government of Kerala from 1995, Mr. P.N. Panikar was a legendary hero. He was the main man, not main man. He is the initiator as the founder of the library movement in Kerala. That is one of the world's wonder. And then later, he turned to literacy movement, and Kerala became the first literate state of the country. And now, as part of this digital literacy, our Modiji, the driving spirit behind this movement, he wanted me to take digital literacy also, digital reading also. And from 2017, when he came down to Kerala to inaugurate the 22nd National Reading Month celebration, he gave a challenge. He gave a challenge that by 2022, 300 million population of should be given should be made literate through reading and writing and digital reading also. Because he is the man who has made us to achieve this target. Now, for the last 2 years, we could achieve 1.85 million population. And this year, we plan to have 220. But because of the COVID calamities, we don't know how can we achieve the target. But however, now we have gone up to 5 lakhs students, not only students at homes. Sir, in every home there will be 4 people. They can be made literate and made and we can inculcate reading habit among them. And I am very particular to invite Ahuja ji because he is an audacious leader. That's why, like our Prime Minister of India, during his chief ministership in Gujarat, he started a movement called Watch Over Gujarat. He was telling me, Mr. Balgopal, even though I was the chief minister of Kerala, I could not make much success in the Watch Over Gujarat movement of Gujarat. Now he is happy that this reading mission movement spread throughout the country, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, all the 28 states and 9 union territories we could reach the unreached, for which I must be grateful to the Prime Minister as well as my CEO, Mr. Amitabh Kant also. He is giving me the direction to reach, and Modi is giving us the blessings also. And Ahuja ji, all of you know, he's now currently the chairman of the CBSE, Central Board of Secondary Education, and he is a Orissa cadre I.A.S. officer from 1990. He is a Bachelor of Engineering in Mechanics from the Thapar University, and he is an MBA from Punjab University. He's a Master in Public Administration, International Development by the much coveted Harvard University. He's a Harvard product, and he says now he has got additional charge as Special Director of the Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Missouri, because the institute is shaping the I.A.S. and I.P.S. officers of the country. So he has got a high role in developing the I.A.S. officers and I.P.S. officers of the country. In fact, he, along with, I think, Dr. Prem Singh, our good friend, Dr. Prem Singh I.A.S., he was also responsible for the Missouri Academy. And then he has worked under Agriculture, Civil Supplies, Department of Steel and Mine, and whatnot. He's a very good reader. And he, during this period and CBSE chairmanship, I hope, not hope, he will, because now our new education policy is getting ready. He is also one of the main architects of this new educational policy that will be effective within the next few months. But in the COVID, because of the unfortunate COVID-19 pandemic, he has introduced some new initiatives in CBSE syllabus, etc., and that he will speak. And I am welcoming you to this webinar organized by P.N. Panikar Foundation, along with MHRD, School Education, and Niti Aayog and our Digital Library of India, MHRD Higher Education, Mr. R. Subramania. Subramania is giving us the strength to take this digital library. In fact, when I discussed with Modi 4 months back, he was happy that P.N. Panikkar Foundation, as a catalytic agent, we want to establish 2.07 lakhs digital libraries in the country. That means in all the 207 lakhs panchayats of the country, we need support, and we draw sustenance and courage from people like Ahuja ji to take this mission forward, sir. And with this background, I'm inviting Ahuja ji to webinar, to this important webinar. I welcome you, sir. And I invite Dr. Vignesh. He's the technical head of this program. I'm inviting him also.
Thank you, Mr. N. Balgopal, for inviting me to this 25th P.N. Panikkar National Digital Reading Month Celebrations 2020. It is actually a big honor to be invited to speak on a function which is in the honor of Shri P.N. Panikkar. I'm aware he has immense contribution which he has made not only to the state, also for the country, known as the father of the library movement in Kerala, and contributed immensely towards the literacy in the state, as a result of which the state became one of the foremost states in terms of literacy. And I think the steps taken by the foundation in furthering reading is something very important. And involving the community, getting it implemented in schools, libraries and panchayats, educational institutions, bringing it to civil society, organizing storytelling, poetry recitation, quiz competitions around this concept to make it a mass movement. And as the Honorable Prime Minister also, when he inaugurated the 22nd National Level Reading Day and Reading Month celebrations, he called upon all the citizens to inculcate the reading habit and set up a target that we should reach 300 million underprivileged population by 2022. And now, as Mr. Balgopal pointed out, now we are adding digital reading to it, and the plan is to take this to all the panchayats in India. I think I will just start by saying why reading is so important. Coming to, let us say, only as human beings and in terms of studies, since CBSE deals with schools, we carry out certain assessments. You would be aware of it. One assessment is called PISA. It's an international survey assessment. It's carried out by OECD and it is internationally benchmarked. In 2009, we did take this competition in India, Himachal Pradesh and Tamil Nadu, and we performed very poorly. We were amongst the bottom few countries. And the reason being that the questions which are asked in PISA are based on your reading and comprehension ability. So if you're not able to read and comprehend questions, you cannot answer them. And I think that was one of the major reasons, besides other things, that it tests analytics and critical thinking rather than rote, which led to our underperforming in this field. We also have something known as a National Achievement Survey. We had a test carried out in 2017. And you would know there is also an organization called I.A.S, which tests what we call as foundational reading. And what it showed was that many students, let us say up to 50% of the students in class 5 cannot read the text of class 2, which means the implications are, if children are not able to read, then in the next stage, they will also not be able to comprehend. Thus, there is a big learning gap. The World Bank has come out with a term which it calls learning poverty. And how does it define learning poverty? It says that any child who's unable to read and understand a simple text by the age of 10, that is how it defines as a standard, that if he is not able to, then in his future life he will not be able to learn properly, he will not be able to develop his skills as a, or his abilities as a human being, and he will lose out in terms of the opportunities that life has to offer to him. And there is a direct linkage between poverty and not being able to read and understand a text by the age of 10. And there also, there are a significant number of people in India, students in India, who are not able to read. So essentially, the bigger picture, talking about schools and restricting myself to the education sector, is about this, that reading ability is very, very essential, right from the foundational level. And why? Because it enables comprehension. And without understanding or comprehension, you are not able to relate to what is being taught, you are not able to think about it critically or further about it. Thus, reading becomes a very crucial competency which all students should have. And that is why you would be knowing that the new education policy, which is in the draft stage, also talks about something known as a foundational literacy and numeracy mission. And reading would be an important component. Let us say a child is at grade 3, what should be his level of reading? And we have to focus on that. That will be one of the primary uh, focus areas, that we ensure that all the children in our schools are able to read, which is appropriate for their grade when they are in grade 3 or before grade 3 up to grade 5, so that they do not lose out on learnings in the later stages. And this also further leads to children dropping out of schools because they cannot stay up with the levels which are being taught in the schools. So you will find at the class 5th, class 8th and class 10th level, the dropout rate increases, even though we have full enrollment in the early stages. And one of the reasons for this is that children are not able to keep up with what is being taught. And they are not able to keep up with what is being taught is because they are not able to read properly and therefore not able to comprehend properly. Now coming to that, let me just digress a little bit. I talked about the importance of reading in terms of pure education, in terms of development of human beings and attaining their whole full potential, and not being able to because they did not develop reading ability. The second aspect I would like to say is, you see, human beings, when they understand both through their mind and also their emotions which they attach to their learning in a social environment, and they understand best when you teach them in the form of stories or narratives. You yourself as a child would have realized, if there was a teacher, if he was giving you plain facts or just telling you details, how much did you retain it, how much were you interested, or there was a teacher who told you an interesting story in a narrative, and how interested you were in that class and how much you learned. Human beings, by their very nature, learn more from stories and from narratives. And that is why reading is so important. Reading is about stories. If it is fiction, it is about narratives, it is about different things. And as a child, as a human being, it can have many benefits. One is directly, if you keep on reading, you will do well in school, you'll be able to read, you'll be comprehend, be it in your mother tongue or be it in any other language. In the early stages, definitely it should be in your mother tongue. So as you develop this, you are able to do well. Besides, it can teach you a lot of things like values. It can come from books. Let us take the example, you can read an autobiography of, let us say, Mahatma Gandhi, Bhimrao Ambedkar, or let us say Nelson Mandela. Learning from their lives, you can also learn by reading about people of higher moral standards, people of higher ethics. You can learn from them by reading about them and imbibe these values in them. Reading can offer a very powerful source of you being, as students, being able to connect with the people who were held in very high esteem and are held by society as role models, and one can learn about it and also imbibe these qualities. Second thing is you can also learn about things like empathy. If you read a book or I will even say even fiction, you can read about different personalities, you can read about different feelings, you can read about how different people relate, how different people feel, and also inculcate diversity. So through a book, you can understand so many different viewpoints which are there. You can understand diversity, and you can also develop empathy towards what people are saying. So things like values, ethics, diversity, understanding viewpoints of different people, these can all come from book. I remember as a child when I was reading, I once read about Alexander. Alexander was a king, as all of you know, very young, 23 or 24 years, in Greece, in a small part of Greece. And then in the next 10 years, he went from there to Persia, to Egypt, where he set up a big library, then came all across to India. We all are familiar with that story. And this reading books also helps you to go back into history, to live life and be a part of what has happened across the world back in time also, which is a very unique experience in yourself. So I would say just reading, besides the benefit it is giving you in terms of your studies, it will also help you make a better person. You will imbibe values, build up a good ethical base, learn from people, you'll develop empathy, understand other point people with other point of views, and then you are able to share moments across the world back in time with others. So it involves, so it will make you a better person. So it has many benefits which it can give to you. And I think that is why it is so essential that we should make learning, reading a mass movement. And what the foundation is doing, I think, is an excellent step in that direction. We need to build it up, we need to take it across the country so that more and more people have the resources and the infrastructure to be able to read. And in this stage, when the world is facing this pandemic, COVID-19, and people may not be able to go out of their homes, whoever has access to digital devices can resort to digital reading. So digital reading has the capacity, it can reach to a lot of people. People can, it will enhance the infrastructure which is available for people to access reading. And I think it's a step in the right direction. It's a laudable objective with which the foundation is working. I think we all of us should come together to become partners in this, so that we can take the dreams which Shri P.N. Panikkar had in terms of his vision of bringing about reading habits by setting up libraries, by involving communities, to take it to its logical culmination, so that every child in India, every person in India at their appropriate stage is able to read and able to develop himself as a with his full potential. We in CBSE also intend to give due weightage to it, to ensure that in our schools and places associated with schools, that this becomes a movement, people imbibe it, and everybody gets involved in this. Parents, community, schools, children, everybody becomes a participant and in a way a champion of reading, so that this movement spreads across India. So with this, I would once again thank Mr. Bal Gopal for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to interact with the participants of this workshop, for whom I would say that these are difficult times. The world has not seen such an unprecedented crisis. And for all of you, I will say that you should look after yourself, your children, your family, their mental and physical well-being, and take due precautions so that you remain safe during these times. So with that, I would like to end my speech and say thank you for inviting me once again. Thank you, Mr. Balgopal, and all the others.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this wonderful, short and brief webinar. So we have a couple of questions, if I can read out for you, sir.
Can you speak a little louder, please?
So thank you so much, sir. Am I audible, sir, now?
Yes.
Yes. So we have a couple of questions from the participants. Can I just read it out for you, sir?
Yeah, please.
So this question is from Miss Ishita. Her question is, what about audiobooks and ebooks? Do they have the same impact as the hard copy of the book?
I think that's a good idea. I think audiobooks are already out there, and I think we should focus more on that direction also and make audiobooks available. I think that is also a whether I mean reading does help, but for people who want to change and all that, this can also supplement. And it's a good idea. We should have a different different repertoire. Reading does help building up your skills, but listening and comprehending that would also expose you to a lot of experience which books can offer. I would still prefer reading because it helps you in doing it directly and understanding it. And as another medium for understanding books, audiobooks is also a good suggestion.
Okay, so the next question from there is a Miss Anita has a question. Her question is: children are so much stressed and worried about their next board exams. How can we divert their worries into a positive situation?
This is something very important, and CBSE has been trying to address this. So, one of the ways is that at least schools should be stress free. That's very, very important. For a child to learn, the environment has to be joyful. If there is a lot of stress, it will affect learning also. And what we have said this year is that, we have reduced the portion which we will be assessing in the exam by 30%. And we have said that you follow the calendar, alternative academic calendar developed by NCRT, which focuses on joyful and integrative learning, project-based learning or experiential learning, which puts the child in the center and it goes away from what we call rote learning. There'll be fun activities, group activities, which a child can enjoy and also learn what we are intending to learn. So I think that is very, very important, that we should, all of us collectively should focus in making education in schools less stressful, more joyful, where the child is placed in the center. He learns it on his own rather than the teaching being given to him. He should be the person who shows initiative, learns on his own, and that is how we build up environment in a school where children find the environment joyful rather than creating stress through the through the pedagogy or through instructive learning, etc. We have a long way to go, but we should take steps in that direction, and I think that is one of our focus areas.
So this question is couple of days back. One of the teachers has asked this question. The question was, uh, the happiness for children is important, and the equally important are also the teachers, because they go through a lot of stress, because they have to look after their household chorus, and they have to get into a new technology tool, and also they have to conduct classes, prepare educational materials for the children. So that's a multiple challenge that the teachers are facing. So we would like to have your views on this aspect of teachers' role in the education, sir.
I understand your concern and the concern they have raised. The teachers have a very, very fundamental. I mean, they are the basis and the player around or the pivot around which the education system is built upon. So obviously, their role is very, very crucial. I can understand that this situation, because of COVID, is asking them to, acquire new skills. Many of the children may not have access to digital infrastructure, so therefore, reaching out to children, ensuring that the learning gaps are not there, does involve a lot of extra work, new ways of working. In fact, CBSE is working in this direction to at least facilitate their ability to work in a new environment through a lot of training programs. For example, using online learning, how can they do it very simply? How can they do it very effectively? Second, NCRT for that reason has developed that alternative academic calendar, which actually involves everybody in providing this education. And for that also, we are launching intensive trainings so that the teachers are better able to adapt to the new situation.
Okay, so the next question is from Ms. Triveni. Her question is there a possibility that we can follow the same syllabus of NCRT even for CBSE schools? Because each school seems to be following a different like set of textbooks. So this,
No, 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 no. We CBSE we follow NCRT textbook, so there should be no doubt about that.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So then there is a very basic question. This question is from Anupa Saikya Bora. When will the results be declared for classes 10 and 12?
Yes, that 15 July, we will stick by that guideline by
Okay,
that date. Yes.
sure, sir. So there is a
Thank you
question
so
from Miss Aditi Varunkar. What about the students' admission after 12th?
Yes, so our results will be out, and I think that will be a question which the Ministry of Human Resource Development, the Higher Education Division will address. Then obviously they will apply to universities for the admission. Some will have to give professional exams. Those dates have to be fixed. Others will apply to universities and all. And there will be that admission process. When they will start and all is an issue. But there is, I agree, there is some uncertainty involved in this situation. But hopefully everybody, the government and everybody keeps the interest of the students in mind, and everybody will be taking decisions based on that. We understand the stress and the tension students are going through, and any step we take or decisions we take is centered around that we should keep your interest in mind when we take a decision, the students' interest in mind.
Sure. So one last question. This question is from Miss Sarbamit Chaudhary. Sorry, Miss or Mister. Her question is: being a high school teacher, I'm more worried about the practical classes of 12th grade because the theory portions can be covered using the online classes, but practical classes, how do we manage that?
I do understand your concerns, and I think you see, we should, I think, philosophically, we should look at this situation which has disrupted traditional ways of teaching or classroom or instructional teaching to find out new ways. And what do I mean by find out new ways? Is I earlier said that we need to make it, instruction more learner centered, more joyful, more project oriented, more experiential, more competency based. Now, all this involves that we will have to, let us say, you have to do practical. If you go to your house, you can build a practical things about it. For example, in the kitchen, there's a lot of fruits, vegetables, etc., which can be linked to that field. There is a refrigerator which can teach you something. There is a gas which can teach you. In fact, it's a full lab, or your garden outside. So what I am saying is, obviously, you can't replicate everything 100%, but a sizable amount can be done like that. Then on the web, you have these online labs where all these experiments are simulated. I think the point I'm making is there will be no definite answers, but we can give guidelines, and there's a lot of autonomy available to the teachers now. A lot of autonomy which we are seeing, which was earlier not there because it was conditioned teaching. Now, with that autonomy, with the guidelines, and with the resources available, the teachers will have a freedom to devise ways to do it. So, I think we can do a fairly good job if we work on this line also, which we are doing from CBSE, having training programs, giving these resources, sharing these guidelines, and the NCRT's alternative academic calendar has a lot of such activities, plus the teachers' own initiative, which can come to the front here.
Sure, sir. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
I just wanted to add. So at the National Digital Library of India, we have a huge collection of resources for school children, and starting from the simulations to practical video lectures, audio lectures, and also various state board and central board books are also available. So they can also make use of these resources for their children.
Thank you so much. We'll try and give a link on our website also. Please share it with us.
Sure, sir. So over to Balagopal, sir. Sir Balagopal, sir, you have to unmute your mic and then speak.
Yes, can you hear me? Hello, Vignesh ji.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes,
Kindly
yes.
go ahead.
Ahuja ji, it was an amazing speech, and in fact, our CBSE students, community students, teachers, and parents, they were eager to see you because and hear from you from the mouth of the chairman, because how the CBSE during this pandemic the problem, how the CBSE students without any problem, they're tension free, and now they had some sigh of relief that you have given the good advice, and only that with your grace, the P.N. Padikar Foundation is also blessed that the man who is responsible for shaping the new education policy, because now it is a draft stage, education policy will be out within the next 12 months, I suppose. So we need your support and your directions in all our activities, because we're also basically there to develop the children, the entire country, because so that I'm told that 25 crores of students are there in the government of India, as per your secretary's report. We are making this reading habit, inculcating the reading habit to every nook and corner of the country, sir. Thank you for your support, and we look forward to your continued support for all our future programs in developing the children's their psyche and their health as well as everything. Thank you, sir. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for
Thank you. Thank you.
participants. I have a few housekeeping announcements.